And it's Dan and James talking about the
Talking about the
Villa
Villa
games.
games.
Hi there, everybody, and welcome back to the AVFC Faithful Podcast, joined as always by Dan and James. And this week it is multiple Villa games we are talking about, people. Quite a week, eh, James? How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Glad it's Friday. So we're recording Friday for people that are watching. I'm looking forward to this Sunday, a massive game after a massive game midweek, and following that, another massive game next week. So, looking forward to all the football that's coming up. How are you?
Oh, mate, massive game after massive game, and I just keep smiling. It's hard to be downtrodden about it at all, isn't it? Nothing breaks up a working week better than Villa playing on a Thursday, does it? I mean, usually like Wednesdays, I'm like, oh, but Wednesdays, Villa play tomorrow, and then I got all sad because I saw everyone in Amsterdam. And I got more sad on Thursday because I kept seeing people in Amsterdam. Yeah, a great week. Funny enough, actually, I need to mention this real quick because I read it earlier. So Sky Sports were doing their breakdown of the on their actual website. I actually read Sky Sports' website today on my lunch break because obviously I had nothing else to do clearly. And the reporter there, when they did the breakdown of the European games, they said that Aston Villa need to start learning how to play in their big games because otherwise they're going to get swallowed up. Now, obviously, I don't know if you know, James, but Villa have had a couple of big games this season. I think they had two in a week where they showed up. So it's good to see that it takes a 0-0 draw away at Ajax for people to sort of downplay in Villa. But you know what? We'll go to a game that probably should have been a draw, but it fucking wasn't, and that's Luton away. We'll touch upon it. It feels like an age ago, but
Yeah.
I mean, bloody hell, what a fucking 9 minutes that was, eh?
Yeah, I mean, the first 45, we should have been more than 2-0 up, to be honest. There's a couple of good saves from their keeper that kept it at 2-0, and we wasted a chance or two. And then the second half, we were just a bit asleep. It was a bit of an immature second half performance. But, when you concede two goals like that, again, set pieces, honestly, I'd say a kryptonite. But, when you concede two goals like that at a place like that, that could have easily ended up with no points, but we
Yeah.
managed to, dig out another big win late on, which is massive. You have to be winning those games in your pursuit of top four, potentially top five. So yeah, that was a good result. And then obviously yesterday, the 0-0. I can't understand why someone might say that we need to learn how to play in a big matches because I don't know about you, but a 0-0 away at Ajax to take the leg back to Villa Park, I feel like that's a decent result. I mean, yeah, 100%. The performance wasn't exactly what we'd hoped for, but defensively we kept a clean sheet, and we created a couple of chances and what was a hostile environment at times. I think when their crowd got going, I think we felt that occasion. But other than that, we still tried to play a game, take a sting out of it, and there was a lot of changes in that team as well. So I think to come away with a 0-0 and go back to Villa Park next week was a good result. So far, that's 1 out of 3 good results in the next 7 days.
Yeah, it's weird, and I mean, I'll quickly touching upon Luton. I mean, like you said, the set pieces are sort of worrying, as you said. But again, if you're able to make the two subs you do and they combine to score in the dying minutes, it's hard to be upset when you come out of the game anyway. If you lose when you're playing poorly, as we did in the second half, and it's quite good to see. Obviously, Ollie came out, didn't he, and said how bad we were in the second half, and that was quite good to see that he sort of reflected upon that with the United game as well. It's sort of shown that there's a bit of maturity about the side, and they're probably not as happy with the way things are going at times, even when we are winning. So it's good to see there's probably building blocks there. I mean, that second goal from him is absolutely outrageous. I just wanted to touch on that. That touch, by the way, again, this isn't an anti-Sky Sports podcast, but we really need to have a conversation about them showing fucking replays and not showing live football. I cannot. All you got to do is just leave it, and then we'll watch a replay when the ball's out of play, actually out of play. But if there's a set piece, just let it go because unfortunately we missed it straight away. But the ball over by Duggan and that touch and finish is ridiculous. I mean, uh, the bloke has gone from strength to strength. He was very unlucky, I thought, not to. I think if we come out that second half and we play our game again and we don't shower inside ourselves, he probably does come away the game with a hat trick, and he would have deserved one because he's dragged us recently in times where we've needed him, and he's been the beacon. So, oh mate, Ollie Watkins, what a man! Which weirdly brings me on to yesterday. I mean, that poor. This is sort of the duality of man, isn't it? Ollie Watkins is brilliant against Luton, and then you just don't get to see him against Ajax because he's got three centre backs on him and nothing going forwards from the rest of us really. Proper cagey game that was when it was hard to
Yeah.
watch. Oh, how are people doing this every year, by the way? Watching your teams go to knock off. All right, Man City probably don't have to worry too much, but like Arsenal doing it, for example, when Liverpool do it, when United do it, Chelsea, when there's a bit of jeopardy involved. Bloody hell, man! I genuinely sat
Yeah.
there. I don't think I've watched the game so intensely and just so and that fucking ref, eh? Come on,
Oh my God, that
can't not
ref
talk
was
about it.
dreadful. Yeah, that's one of, if not the worst refereeing performances I've seen. The two red cards had an element of just it was just ridiculous. The Consa one, his first yellow card did wind me up a little bit because I mean I know that it was a foul on him, but I hate how he has this tendency to grab the ball before the
Yeah, it's
whistle's
a
been
real
blown.
irritating thing in modern football, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a bad habit, and I understand it because it's just the natural thing that he does. But it is annoying that he was in that position to be given a second yellow card. But the second yellow was stupid. He was pulled down, and it was just. Well, you know what? It was cheating from their player. He
Yeah.
has simulated being felled. So yeah, it was really And then I think the ref just wanted to even it up. To be honest, he had no hesitation doing it. He'd forgotten he'd fucking
Yeah, yeah.
given
It's
him a
fucking
booking
ridiculous.
already.
Not even that. Like even the small shit, like the first one, for example, Watkins gets the ball on the left side. Their defender, I forgot his name now, um, boots the ball out quite clearly because of the way that both players were moving towards the ball. It's so obvious that the way the ball was kicked, the direction it was kicked in the power it was kicked, that was obvious who kicked it, and he gives a
Yeah,
goal kick. And
yeah,
then when we're down that end defending, Konza's got the ball on the line. And then he gives the corner. I don't think even the linesman gives the corner. He gives. But it vexes me when referees give corners. There's no
yeah,
way you should see it in the linesman shouldn't. If the linesman hasn't given it as a corner when it's gone out, then I don't understand how he can have that vision being like. So I can't see if a ball's gone out in front of me here, but I can if I'm side up. Mate, it was it's just, how you can get booked for walking backwards towards a player
oh, yeah,
and jumping for a ball, but then you don't get booked for jumping and elbowing a player in the face. It's so fucking baffling. It was so poor. Look, again, I'm not backing him, but he's just clearly not good enough to be officiating at that level. And then
yeah,
you're just annoyed at UEFA for picking these officials. I know someone replied to me, it's very clever. Obviously, they do pick a ref from various nations, don't they? For obviously political reasons. So I get that. That's fine. But it's just knockout tournament. You'd expect to just have a high level referee in all of your. Surely there's enough, right? But anyway, that's by the by.
yeah,
I thought, and I just want to touch on him now because he does have a little bit of a spotlight on this podcast, and not I'm not saying that he's aware of it, but I can't say his name. Only you can. But I love him just as much. It's Tim.
Tim Robin.
Thank you. Commentators said his name three different ways yesterday, which I thought was very interesting.
Just
Sometimes
covering all bases.
just call him Tim. It's just so much
Yeah,
easier. I thought, and I know it was varied because I was screenshotted in a tweet that showed how varied the opinion was. I thought it was a fairly decent performance from someone that's his second ever start, I believe,
yeah,
for us.
yeah.
I can't help but feel it was mature, but all right, it wasn't perfect, but none of them were perfect.
Yeah, I thought it was a fairly solid showing. I think that obviously, I think as the game went on and it was a fatigue thing, like a mental fatigue thing. I think that a few more mistakes started to creep in. But I thought he won the ball back well a couple of times, and he weren't shy of getting on the ball in the build-up. So that's all you can really ask for at the start. And considering he's not match sharp, I thought it was a fine showing.
Mm.
It wasn't spectacular, and he definitely wasn't bad in my eyes. I was quite pleased to see him get another chance. And if your second start for a club's going to be away in a European knockout tie at Ajax, that's some moment in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but him and Rogers is I like what I see, like what he could become. I think he's still a bit rough around the edges, but I think his physical profile is really similar to Jacob Ramsey. I think just his composure on the ball at times and his tracking back, if he works on those, I think that he could be very solid in the next couple of seasons. And I'll be glad to see him, in and around the starting 11 in that sort of period of time. So yeah, I think it was a decent showing for those two. I think overall, though, if you was to look at the game, I don't think there was too many great performances out there for us. Anyway, I think it was just a little sloppy is the only word I can think of really at times. And I think the key thing is if Louise is showing that sort of sloppiness in his game, it tends to break down all over the pitch as
Yeah.
well. I think he was a bit too casual at times on the ball, and he can definitely do better. But in a tie like that, and plus the fact that you're never going to be on your game every game. It's just not possible. It's human nature to not be on your game. And if that's the case across the 11, then it can be a tough 90 minutes. But we got through it. And I fully expect them to be up for the game on Sunday, and the same again next Thursday, because the atmosphere at those two games should be immense, because they're probably two defining games of the season.
Yeah.
I think because if you win on Sunday, you take huge momentum in the rest of the league, and then if you get past Ajax next Thursday, you've got past that sort of heritage team. I know they're nowhere near the team that they've once been or even recently been, but it's the whole thing around it, isn't it? They have that European heritage that once you get past them and you're into the quarters, I think you're getting that momentum. So over the next few days, it's going to be really interesting to see what sort of performances are put in. But I back them to win both. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably it's actually not even probably, it definitely is the biggest 7 days coming up for our season, I think. Probably not too sort of dramatic to say so. I thought, I'll be honest with you, if you'd have told me before anyway that we were going away to Ajax and drawing 0-0 and taking them back to Villa Park with everything to play for, I'd snatch your hand off, because that's
Yeah.
our first knockout European, and for a lot of these players, it's their first time ever experiencing that sort of crowd and that sort of level. I mean, all right, I know we've been playing Europe at the start of the season, but it hasn't been as vital to win those games as it has been right now. And obviously, you're obviously going to go back inside yourself. They're a young side; they've got a lot to play for, and they are, whilst like you said, they're not the team that they once were. They are now reaching the better half of their season compared to what they were. It's definitely the worst time to be playing them. But again, they can't play that way next week at our place, and it's hard to imagine anything but a turnaround. I think Sunday is going to see a game where I think Connor's probably going to play the full 90. I've seen some stuff about about Matthew Cash that I didn't think I'd ever see. The way they're talking about him, it's like he's the player to watch out for. It's a bit, but I like it because it adds that little bit of extra flavor, though, doesn't it? To the
Yeah.
mix. And like it's nice to know that both sides are feeling how important this is, because it kind of shows us where we are, and probably shows that we deserve to be where we need to be. I did see a podcast, so I can't remember who it was and what podcast it was. Forgive me, but I didn't really care to take down the name at the time, and I probably should have. But they were saying how there is a plan for Watkins, and he's going to be locked up on Sunday against Spurs, and he has no chance of scoring. Do you ever feel like some people are just tempting fate when they play us at this stage?
Yeah, I really do. When we speak on here about other teams, I try not to go too brave with things, because you know how much it can bite you in general. But
Yeah.
when you're looking at a danger man like Watkins, I don't think you should be too confident about it. We maybe they do, maybe they don't, but more often than not, right now you'd back him to be getting a goal or an assist in that game. So Yeah, I hope that they come out with egg on the face, to be honest, after that. But yeah, the Matty Cash thing has been bizarre, hasn't it, really, over the past few months? Like the Bentancur one was a late tackle, but it was nothing really bad. It's just the fact that, he's made out of Pringles, so that's his own fault. And then the Doherty one, even that, it was a strong challenge, but it was a fair challenge. Just the momentum took through.
Great challenge.
Yeah, you just took. You can't stop the momentum, and if your foot's unfortunately planted in a way or whatever, even in a fair tackle, you can come out injured. It's a contact sport. It really wasn't a bad tackle. So I would love to see Matty Cash score a screamer or something on Sunday. I mean, the team news will be really interesting. As you say, Conser will start, Poe will start, left back will be interesting. I'm not sure who it will be. Um, but then does Conser play at right back with Carlos back in, maybe, if he's fit, or does Cash start at right back? It's gonna be interesting, to say the least. But yeah, I think looking ahead to Sunday, I've been saying this to all my family this week, that it's a game where you just have to not lose.
Yeah.
A win would be amazing. Putting extra daylight between us. But if you can come away with a point, that's key, because you can't lose ground. So I would 100% right now take a draw. But I you know me, I back the lads every time we play now. The confidence of having them because of Emery and the players. So how they've stepped up in the last year and a half has been has
Yeah.
been immense. And I said this when Emery came in, that that there was definitely a solid base to the squad that we had, but they had to step up. After the poor football that we had to see them play under Gerrard, and we knew there was coaching issues, but they still needed to step up and
Yeah.
be like sponges to Emery's information and coaching. And 99% of them, that they've just done that, and they've just grown to levels above than what I'd imagined. And the best example of that is McGinn, and that TNT interview with him and
Yeah.
Emery was really interesting. That he thought his time was up, but
Weren't the
Emery
only
has.
one either that he
Yeah,
thought. I
exactly.
think it was.
I think we both thought there's a potential that he didn't fit Emery's way. He wasn't the right footballer. And to be honest, the way that he used to play, he wasn't. He
No.
wasn't like this technical player that could take a few touches on the ball. He was hustle and bustler. And now he's transformed, and you have to give credit to both him and Emery. Emery saw that in his game, and McGinn stepped up to that. So, and I have to also, just thinking about this now, when we was talking about the game yesterday, not really being too many good showings out there. Emi Martinez was our best player out there.
Yeah. I
I know
mean.
that they only had the one shot on target, but my God, as a sweeper keeper, he's absolutely incredible,
Yeah.
and we're so lucky to have him.
Well, it was start of last. It was just after Christmas last year, obviously, when Emery came in, and the biggest thing was we were all saying that Emi Martinez has never really shown to be a sweeper keeper. And it was West Ham away where he dominated as a sweeper. He mopped up absolutely everything, and since then he's been nigh on faultless. I mean, yeah, again yesterday. I think it was it Luis Miguel Shigaray who tweeted about it. Someone replied to him. I think they were like, "Oh, he only had one save to make," and he was like, "Yeah, but if that's all you're going off, you're just not watching the games, are you? Because he is like Louis said, and you mentioned there, he mocked up everything yesterday. His passes were nearly perfect each time, apart from when he was forced to go long, and we had two people on Watkins each time, who was basically getting harassed at the back.
Yeah,
Um, like you said, the one save he makes as well is really good. He comes out, he collects stuff. And also he's always looking forwards to try and start something again. And obviously it doesn't always come off. Things are marked off. Yeah, and I also think McGinn as well. Yesterday, if he wasn't injured, he obviously would have started that. I feel because they said he had pain, didn't they, in the warm up before? That's why he wasn't risked. But it was a real McGinn game in the end, wasn't it? I think I got to half time. I was like, wow, you're screaming for a John McGinn to come out, stick his ass out, and keep some control in that midfield because
yeah,
um I mean, the stuff I was hearing about Jordan Henderson yesterday, if they'd have seen John McGinn on that pitch, they'd have understood what a real midfielder would have looked like because it was screaming out for one, really. And it was a
yeah,
shame not to see him. And I think that's where I think Sunday, if he's fresh, that's a game where he's quite in control of the center of that park because he's got a real chance there of break. Like my mindset is set on him sitting there, Maddison pressing him, beating Maddison, and then playing that ball forward across to the right to Bailey. That's how I can see it being moved forward on Sunday. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Digne again at left back. I think he's been pretty good in all the showings he had. He didn't have much to do yesterday. I would quite like to see him again, really, because I feel like he offers a little bit more solidity there at the moment, which is weird because obviously we were saying the complete opposite last season. And that's not discounting Moreno. I just think that it might be a game that's less defined down the left now, I think that's a big season defining change, isn't it, for us, where we needed the right to be impressive because the left we lost so much with JJ being out, and it's a shame to not see him for a couple of weeks. But yeah, I think Watkins is what I wanted to touch on. With Steven Gerrard, I just saw a heat map earlier today where I think you saw it as well, where his average position was so heavily deep on the left, and this season all of the dark red is in the box pretty much, and it's a testament to both Emery and him for identifying where he's strongest and where he's able to be, and it was very good of him to adapt because I think it was a real sink or swim moment for him, and I mean he's swam and so is the rest of the team. And like you said, John McGinn in that interview was really eye-opening as well. And like he said, fair play to Steve Clark for realizing that John McGinn can play as just off the 10 or just off the right wing because it gets him goals and it gets him forward and it's revitalized his career at Villa. And long may it continue because gone are the days where you're hearing me on this podcast say, "Oh, John McGinn, I'm not sure." I'm very sure, and I was very wrong, as I have been about Watkins and many other players, and I'm happy to be it. Prove me wrong, find the tweets, I'm very happy. I love being wrong if it means we're doing well. I'd happily trade that off every time. Score prediction time. But I'm breaking the trend and I'm going first.
Go on.
3-0 Villa.
That's giving Newcastle vibes from last season when you said that, and I said that I'd crop Emery's face onto the GTA dog meme. That stands again. If we win 3-0, it's going to be Emery holding Ange at the GTA dog meme. I'm even less confident about it happening this time, but I tell you what, I hope it does. For me, I've still got to back us to win though. I think it'll be close. It'll be 2-1 Villa.
Yeah, I mean, all right. I'm not discounting Spurs at all. I don't know. I'm just getting that same feeling that I had before City and before Arsenal. Is just quietly confident, and I've got a lot of faith in the players. And I don't know. I just think that game away at theirs as well was so difficult, and we won it. I just think that we can take that back to Villa Park and play our way, and it'd be a bit more impressive. I don't know. I've just got that feeling again. Look, I'm happy. You know, I'm happy if it's 1-0 scrappy as shit and we win. I'm not even actually that upset with the draw, like you said, but Gary Neville is hankering for this to be a draw, so he can keep telling me that Man United are still in the race for top four. So a Villa win, and we might get to hear him stop talking about fourth and start hearing him talking about fifth because I cannot listen to that again on a Sunday where I hear, "Oh, Villa play Spurs and they're going to drop points." Fuck it, no, I'm sorry. I just want it over and done with now. I'm tired of it. Ollie Watkins as well, disgracefully missed out on Player of the Month this month. As did two other Premier League football players as well. Saka was also quite clearly high up on the list. I'm not sure why he won it. I think we all know probably what skewed the votes there, and it might be the size of the population that support the specific football team, because there's more of their fans than there are of any of the other fans put together. So, congratulations, I guess. Doesn't change the fact you are 11 points behind Aston Villa Football Club. Well, it's a big week coming up. I've never said this in my life, by the way. I cannot wait for a Sunday.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Who likes Sundays, man?
Yeah, honestly, Sundays is the day where I like to not do much except for watch the football. But this Sunday, I just want it to be at the game already. I know that on the morning I'm going to be fucking nervous as hell, but it's one of those games that you just live for really as a football fan. A massive moment like that. So I'd be seriously shocked if the atmosphere wasn't electric there on Sunday. So yeah, bring it on.
Just a start reminder as well for those of you that do partake in it. It is Mother's Day as well on Sunday. Try not to forget that as well, because that might not go down too well if you just talk about Villa and do not mention that as well. Trust me, it's a mistake I've made on other things that have happened on days where Villa have played. Don't forget, because whoops, can't take it back. But hey, if Villa win, who gives a fuck, eh? Right, so that is 3-0 from Dan, 2-1 from James. Let's down below what you think as well. Hey, let's have some interaction. Let's get going with it. Beautiful stuff. Well, that's all there is for this week. Of course, if you've got anything you want us to chat about next week, make sure you leave in the comments below. Follow everyone on socials. Obviously, you've got me, James, and you've got AVFC Faithful themselves. And until next time, up the Villa.
Up the Villa.